working on this. I wanted to at least finish this before it gets too late and where I'm at. But um, Borderlands 3. I promised I'd have a video out, and I just want to showcase um some of my gameplay. So right now, what I've done.
He got there first. Don't let them leave with the map.
Let's turn this down a little bit. Oh, yeah, it's way too loud. Okay. So I modified the INI file. I modified anti-aliasing. I'll just show you. Like we'll pull up. I'll let you watch this for a little bit, and then we'll do a comparison to my stream before earlier today. Then you can go, okay, this does look a little bit smoother. There's a few stutters here and there. It does drop around 45. So it's not completely perfect, but what I did was increase from what I can show you here is increase the resolution to 1080p and turn the resolution scale down to 75, which looks fine to me. I mean, you could turn it up if you want, but 75% of a 1080p resolution, honestly, it's just, it looks a little bit better. It looks softer, but it still has enough clarity in my opinion. So you can turn that up to 80 and you still be getting a decent performance uplift versus just doing a native resolution. Okay, and then I just decided to do unlimited frame rate. I tried limiting it, see what it did for me. It didn't work as well as I wanted. I thought, okay, limiting the frame rate, cool. No, not really. So, and also DirectX 12 mode. I don't know what the hell that's about. It runs extremely slow. Texture streaming and everything just pops in really late. I don't know why, so I decided to leave it on DirectX 11. I'll go into a little bit more into that after we close the game. Here are my actual in-game settings: temporal anti-aliasing, texture streaming is at medium, material quality is at medium, as you can see here. Shadows are on high. There's only a couple settings that are on high. Clutter, just so I can, give you a good benchmark. I like seeing more details, especially in areas. That's why I left it on high, and it doesn't seem to be hitting my performance too bad. So that's good. Okay. All right. That's pretty much it. And I have motion blur on and everything like that. I still could not figure out a way to turn off depth of field, so. But my main thing to note here is that combat feels better after I modified pretty much my usual optimizations plus what I did to the INI file. So I'll go over basically the same stuff I usually go over with most games, and then let you or showcase what I changed. Wow, they're so much more aggressive, and I actually like it. The way they move is much more fluid. Like the enemies in this game just feel really like alive. I don't know. I like that. I like that there's a lot of secondary animation going on. Some people complain about that, so much stuff happening on the screen, and it's why they're lagging. There's a reason for that. So, first, it has a lot to do with VRAM. Two, has a lot to do with your GPU scaling in general. So if you're seeing like weird stutters with effects, I would definitely try to mess around with resolution and limiting your VRAM amount in Steam launch commands. Those are two things that severely or that drastically changed the game crashing for me. I was having like VRAM maxing out issues and stuff like that. I was like, you have reached your limit. I'm like, okay, cool. So I had a few crashes until I reached this point. This is what I would call my standard of playable, 45 plus, 45 to 50 if on a GTX 1050, or if you have a better laptop, if you have a 1650 and an i7 or anything like that, great. You'd be getting around 55, 60 FPS way more often. You could probably increase the settings, no problem. But mainly you want to keep texture streaming and LOD on medium or low. That's just what I've discovered about Borderlands 3 is it's kind of in the open areas. It's kind of got some hitching going on. It's kind of difficult, but pretty sure some of you already probably know that since you have been playing this game. Some of you have probably been playing this game for a while. I'm just getting into it, so. All right. Well, I'm just gonna complete this mission, and then we'll go into the desktop. Okay. So now we are going to move into modifying the game. First thing I would recommend is Steam launch commands. So copy these. I'm gonna open up Notepad. Okay. You can put these anywhere you want. These are different for a reason. So, I don't know what it was, but they were not allowing me to put multiple instant commands of DirectX 11 until I don't know, probably something to do with Unreal Engine, but until I put it like in the beginning. So you could also turn dxlevel down if you wanted to. You could change that number to 90 or 95. That might increase performance. This is just kind of default bare bones. You can do whatever you want with this, but mainly force D3D11 and all that stuff. This will make if this is specifically if you have it set to DX11. If you have it set to DX12, I would change all of these to 12. That's just a recommendation there. Another thing to note for DirectX, if you guys have my master file version 2 or version 1, don't put the game in here. It stutters really badly. It uses a version of DirectX 11 that is newer than this. So when I forced it and tried it, it ran really bad. So I would not recommend doing that, but I would only recommend, so yeah, don't add it to list, recommend just keeping it set into here and in the game. Also keep your refresh rate set to 85 and frequency set to 85. Use all available cores and then cpuCount 16. For some reason I set this to 16 because you can set this to, if you have 4 cores, set it to 4. But for some reason, it doesn't matter. Like, it seems to just run smoother overall. All of my games in combat and responsiveness seem to run better when I lie to the game and say, okay, I have 16 cores, I have 16 threads, right? But I don't actually have that many. So it's up to you if you want to take that risk. If you don't, then just put the exact amount you have. But this is just a quick hack that I've learned that kind of works in some games to allow me to have a smoother or more responsive experience. Max VRAM, make sure it's specified to your actual VRAM amount. The way to know how much VRAM you have, you can either open up GPU-Z or anything, but if you know your amount, just specify that it's 4 gigabytes. If not, look up the model of your card. World empty, maximum. This will all be in the description of the video. Soft particles default off, and what else do we got here? Oh yeah, this turns off aereo and everything like that. So the soft particles. So that's just Steam launch commands. Save it or whatever. Mine's set here, so we don't really need to save it. Since I already have it saved, paste it into here. Control C, paste. Overclocking. I wouldn't recommend. This game does not like too much overclocking for some reason. But when I put it to like less than 200 and drop this down to 300, it seems to be performing fine. So that's what we have it set at right now. My default profile pushes it up much higher, which other games usually perform fine with that. Okay, FPS booster. If you have this in the master file as well, you can also, I'll link you to a video that has master file version 2 specifically so you can download it and you'll have the password and you can have FPS booster if you want. Okay. So, you guys already know this one. Gaming, graphics, okay? Reduce latency, improve performance, turn hardware accelerated GPU scheduling on, and then add Borderlands 3 options, and then select high performance, okay? Specifically for that application. Another one is you're wondering, okay, you said that profile, but what about GameFire? Does GameFire perform good? For some reason, GameFire is not working well with this game. Surprisingly, it seems to be stuttering and even not recognizing that game mode needs to be applying itself to the game. And then when I close the actual application, um, the entire desktop just freezes. I don't know whether it's just an issue with GameFire itself or it's the compatibility with the game at hand. Specifically, Borderlands 3 is just not doesn't seem to be working well with it. I might just reinstall GameFire, see what happens. Okay, so now we're going to move on to modifying graphic settings. If you want to know more about getting the custom profile, you can join my Discord. So I'll have this profile listed in my Discord. If you want to join it, just specifically message me and ask me for it. Tell me you want the profile after you've joined the Discord. That'll also be in the description of this video. We're gonna scroll down here. What you want to do is change a couple things. We're gonna go to Borderlands 3. Okay. Okay, I went too far down, derp. Okay, so you want to specify maximum AA samples to 2, because it will use more than 2. Specifically for object distance and just anything GPU scaling. If you're seeing those effects lagging your game, this will help you out a lot. Turn it down to 2, and I immediately noticed less stuttering. I went from like 40 FPS to 42 to 45, like in a jump. So I gained like 5 FPS while looking at distant objects. So that helped me out a lot. Okay. And another thing for this will have default set allow mux switch. You want to set this disabled during secure boot. If you followed my optimization for Optimus, that'll also be in the description. Make sure you have to re-specify that setting in this specific profile. Other than that, that's all you need to change based on the default settings and then those two settings, and then just click apply. Okay. So if you've also checked out my my DLL injection video, specifically if you want to launch the game, and we're this is completely up to you. If you want to inject the DLL, and I did notice a much smoother experience after doing this. Most games or applications utilize universal DLLs like D3D11 or one of the DLLs I have is a Vulkan-based API for CPU processing. So it integrates Vulkan into your game, but this can quote unquote break your game, but it might actually help it. For my case, it helped me. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So we want to get something called remote DLL. I'll have this video in the description as well. Okay, we're going to select the game. Borderlands 3, select. You want to select the DLLs that are in that specific video. So if you can get these files, put them in a file. Select d3d11.dll and d3 compiler. This will also be in my master file. You can actually get this in DirectX, get the d3d compiler 47.dll, and then just select inject on both, and it'll say successful. And that's pretty much it. Other than that, I think we need to move to our INI file. So we're going to go to Documents, and then we're going to go to My Games, Borderlands 3, Saved, Config, and then, oh yeah, Windows, No Editor, whatever. Game User Settings, INI. You want to also make sure you have this set to read only, but we're going to unselect that specifically. And you want to actually copy the default file onto your desktop, because we're going to be modifying some settings that if you do this wrong, we just want to make sure we just have a backup here. So you just want to copy that and paste it out here. So this will be our default, obviously. That is pretty much just the game settings, unmodified. And then we're going to look at this real quick. Okay. So I've not messed with shadow quality or post-process quality or anything like that. Honestly, I don't even know. I don't even know if this messes with depth of field or anything, but those are scalability groups. So we're just gonna go down here, and obviously you see my resolution scale set to 75. What settings can we change? Okay, so first things you want to change here are not necessarily going to be your default settings because there's not really much you can do with that, but it's more down to use safe frame scaling. You can change this. I changed this down to 80. It was actually at 90, so that the actual number, you could even put this down to 80 itself, but it seems to be fine where it's at. So we're going to leave it. Okay. All right. So we're going to be messing with texture streaming. Again, these are usually set to like a pretty standard number, honestly. It's not too big of a deal, but this, you see how this one sets 0, 25, and then 4 zeros after. I set every single one to that exact number, which made the textures pop in quicker, and I didn't see as much like stutters or drops. So I would recommend um setting these to low and then increasing your pool size to like 2 GB. That's pretty much going to be fine if you have set to medium textures. If you increase your settings, you might want to increase your pool size. And then we're going to move down to enabling. I did try dynamic resolution. Doesn't really work very well. You want to set this to 1080p, obviously. And then we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom here. And I would select use performance mode true. And also specify the refresh rate you have. If you don't know your refresh rate, go to display settings and go to advanced. And then just find your refresh rate that way. And then paste that exact, or just put those digits in there and then save. Okay? So we're not going to save because it's because I modified that one value, buffered or frame scaling or whatever the hell. Okay, so that would be my recommended game user settings for the INI file. Hell, I'm gonna do this for if you want to optimize background processes, specifically because I can't use GameFire very well with this. If you haven't checked out my PC video for boosting your HDD, but this also boosts SSDs and background processes. So check out that video and then you'll know exactly what you're doing here. But we're going to go down to RAM disk and then we're just going to specify that number. Again, you'll need to watch that video to know exactly what you're doing here. Okay. And then you'll have to look at your RAM disk and it should say maximum. So after you've done all of those changes to your game, there's really not much else you can do. You can try going into the file itself. This is something I haven't even tried yet. Going into local files, going into the game binaries, Windows 64, Borderlands, properties, compatibility. You can try messing around with disable full screen optimizations, DPI scaling, or anything like that. If you're having issues on like Windows 11, you could try compatibility settings that might help you. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So again, to just launch the game. I've not tested it with the RAM disk setting yet, so this would just be the one thing that I'm going to show you is there will be less interference from Windows itself because it's flashing your RAM as a disk and it's using that disk as for the background processes, which they'll accelerate faster than what they would be running off of your SSD for your virtual RAM. So it's basically just going to give you a you're not supposed to technically be able to do that. So every time you reboot your computer, it's going to want to ask you to do it again. So it's kind of an extreme hack, and you have to be like really trying to squeak out every bit of FPS for your CPU, specifically. Another thing I recommend, just making sure you change your thermal paste. Don't overclock too hard on this game. Keep your fan running. If you have a fan that can allow cooling to your PC, some things like that, that'll improve performance for you. Like I actually just gained 5 FPS just from giving my laptop some arrows, testing without it, and I realized, oh yeah, I need to turn my fan on. Sometimes I forget. So yeah, if you guys know a lot of these these tweaks, good on you. You guys can do all. And if you know any other ones that I don't know about, let me know in the comments. But yeah, so this is pretty much 50 to 60 right now, which is nice. Oh shit. I don't mind playing the mission again. There's not really much else I can say here. Thank you for watching, and I really appreciate everyone who has been following my videos, and hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you later.